Oh my God. Fly girl, you're very kind, very gracious. Overwhelmed. Hey everybody, hope you guys can hear me okay. As usual, we're running through our little quickie session now. And we've got a lot of fun news to get through. Fun news to get through. It's always weird when you hear yourself. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump in. As usual, just so you guys know, the Quickie is designed to be 10 minutes of the most action-packed crypto information and money-making information you can get anywhere on YouTube. So hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already. So first of all, a sad day, 20 years ago, 9/11. Moment of silence for everybody out there and the people that were hurt. I was actually at San Francisco airport waiting to board a plane to go to New York City that exact morning when I saw the images on the TV. Crazy time. Anyway, second of all, disclaimer, edutainment. Third, let's look at the market. Market is good. A few minutes ago, everything looks really green. Solana up there banging on 190, Polkadot on fire, Cardano making a big move up over 10%. So I think everybody is kind of excited now about all of the good news for Cardano. We'll talk more about that later. So let's jump into my Golden Cross watch. 2 weeks ago, I forecasted September 13th will be the time that it'll happen. That is 2 days from now, and it's looking pretty good, but it might creep into the 14th of September, and it depends on your time zone as well. I'm in the Pacific time zone. But the interesting thing about this is, first of all, TA, things like Golden Crosses typically are very bullish, but sometimes traders start reading into them and they do the opposite. So although it's seen as a very bullish sign, sometimes you can see dumps going into a Golden Cross and pumps into a Death Cross. So on this basis alone, the pullback we had wasn't too much of a surprise. But we'll monitor that carefully. I think overall, it's greater than 60% chance we'll get a nice move after that. But remember, September is always very weak. So let's look at the exchanges. And yes, the supply is getting more and more scant. Basically, we are at a 3-year low with supply and exchanges. This hasn't happened since 2018. And another 21,600 approximately Bitcoin or $1 billion worth was pulled off exchanges last week. And whale holdings have increased by about 44,000 Bitcoin. So, you know, the macro backdrop remains as strong as ever, so don't be shaken out or perturbed. But if we do see a dip down to 43k, that's where I buy. Anyway, and I got some on Tuesday, as well as Solana, as well as Matic. So good shopping times. Now, this is from Arcane Research. The graph is a bit fuzzy. Apologize for that. But here, although we saw the Bitcoin reserves and exchanges at a 3-year low, you know what's even worse? Is Ethereum. So the amount of Ethereum is approximately, based on supply, around 12.93%, versus Bitcoin, based on supply and exchanges, around 13.32%. So basically, these levels are shockingly low relative to the supply, and something's got to give. All of this could bring about extreme price action in the near future, so we'll watch that carefully. Now, in other news, Alex Mashinsky, he was on TV and he had a really cool quote. He said, basically, Bitcoin is the best doomsday policy. So think in terms of insurance coverage for all the stuff that's going on right now as well. And he has total conviction out there in where he sees the Bitcoin price going. Now, he still believes we could hit a price of 140,000 over the coming months, and he's still holding his projections of 140 to 160,000. And remember, he has the finger on the pulse of exactly what's going on. He sees money flows in his unbanked platform, Celsius. And we'll see. He also said as well that this may take us into Q1 next year, which is along the lines of what I'm thinking. This will be a longer cycle because of the China mining issue. And we're definitely going higher. So we'll see. He did say as though a couple of other things that was super interesting. It took 12 years to get a first 100 million users into Bitcoin, and it took 5 months to double that to 200 million users. And that is spectacular. And that just happened recently. So we're definitely accelerating. Adoption will drive higher prices, etc. But he did also point out that 55,000 is a critical level for us to get above. So we'll monitor that very carefully. Second of all, this is in some Apple news, which could have a big boom for the crypto market. Apple has been ordered to allow in-app purchases. And is this a win for crypto? We shall see. But there was a lawsuit, Epic Games in Oakland, California, not far from where I am, versus Apple, ended with Apple being blocked from enforcing payment methods for apps. And this really could open the door for more apps to accept crypto, maybe accelerate the adoption of Bitcoin, and the Apple crypto plans way ahead of schedule. So this is a big positive. And sometimes it's nice to see Apple lose because it's good for the crypto world. Anyway, speaking of Apple, this was another cool article that I saw. This is called the Bitcoin Flippening Apple Model. And basically what it does is it assumes three different things. First one is an annualized growth rate of 118%, which is kind of the historical growth rate of Bitcoin. Second one is a slowed down growth rate of only 89% annualized over the next 5 years. And the third one is a 59% annualized growth rate. And this compared to Apple growth rate of about 22% per year on average. So forecasting them, it basically maps out exactly when the market cap of Bitcoin could flip Apple. And of course, I love my numbers. So what did? I created a little table that reflects this a little bit better with some actual dollar values. So it's not just in a graphical chart that is a little bit meaningless. But if you look at the same growth for Bitcoin, i.e. 118% annualized, the market cap needs to be about 3.9 trillion for it to flip Apple. And according to this projection, that could happen in 2023. And that would give Bitcoin a price of 185,000 for it to flip Apple. And the price based on this model to flip gold would be in the year 2025, which would put the Bitcoin price at approximately $500,000 a Bitcoin. The slower growth method, the 25% slower, i.e. 89% annualized, market cap would have to be about 4.1 trillion. It could happen in 2024, Bitcoin price about 195K, and at this trajectory, we would flip gold in 2026. And 50% slower, i.e. 59% annualized, this would be a $6 trillion market cap, expected to happen in 2026 with a Bitcoin price of 285K, and flip gold price of about in the year 2029. So I thought that was super interesting numbers, very, very conservative, and we could go a lot further, especially when you look at the supply constraint and the limited supply, where things could go parabolic. And remember, 12 years, 100 million users, 5 months for the next 100 million. I wonder when we'll get to 300 million users. This could be in 4 months from now, 3 months. Now, the central banks are very fearful. The Bank for International Settlements must act with a sense of urgency. And this is according to one of their officials, Benoit Coeur. And he basically believes central banks need to take action real fast. And he knows it'll take them at least 2 years to get a central bank digital currency off the ground. But they are very, very concerned because right now, stablecoins and DeFi platforms are already shaking up traditional banking models. And he believes the central banks, there's nothing really they can do. They're stuck and they're desperate, and you can smell the fear in this article. Anyway, just sharing that news. Smart contract wars. Again, I've got some feedback and some backlash from people on Twitter about my video yesterday. Somebody sent me this chart, which I thought was very cool. We don't know who's going to win the game. All I look is data, and I don't shill. People called me somebody who shills Solana all the time. No, I don't. I do not shill. What I do is I share data-driven information. So that's the way I am. Zero emotion. Just like any good investment decision you make, you can't have any emotion take part. Just crunch the numbers, do a ton of work, look at all the data points, build models, and then make decisions. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the smart contract wars. Speaking of smart contract platforms, Cardano, it is Cardano Day tomorrow. Their big Alonzo upgrade will bring programmability to the blockchain. And according to founder Charles, he's going to wear a Ghostbusters costume tomorrow to celebrate the event. So fingers crossed for Cardano tomorrow. An exciting day. Now, in other altcoin news, Safemoon CTO resigns. That's always a good sign. I'll just leave that there. The risk of altcoins. Here you go, everybody. And in a little bit of crypto lending news related to Canada, obviously with all the stuff going on in the United States with the SEC and Coinbase, etc., this is beginning to spill over north of the border. And this could have an impact as well on the rest of the world. I know there's people in Norway and Australia, etc., that really want to leverage more crypto borrowing and lending as they go forward. Just what the central banks are afraid of. The toothpaste is out of the tube. There's no putting it back in. But this is a licensed exchange, Coinberry, and they had preliminary discussions with the Ontario Security Commission over crypto lending. And in Canada, security regulations is provincial affair. There's no, they don't have an SEC per se. So we'll see what happens. But that's very, very good for Canada. And speaking of Canada as well, let's look at inflation. Inflation is important, everybody, because it has a huge impact on the crypto space. House prices in Canada are rising by $12,000 a month. Big thank you to Sanjay for sending me this article. And the question is, are salaries in Canada going up by $12,000 a month? And how can people scale to keep up with this type of crazy inflation? Anyway, back to a little bit of Tesla news. FSD 10 beta is launched and it is mind-blowing. I drove last weekend, or was this on Sunday, from Sonoma to San Francisco. All FSD, all the way. Mind-blowing. And now it's gotten even better. And in another all-time high piece of news, and related to inflation and money printing and everything else, the Fed balance sheet hit on the new all-time high. They're continued to print. Basically, a few weeks ago it was 8.1 billion, or added another 8.1 billion to hit a record of 8.36 trillion. And the printers keep on rumbling. So the balance sheet now makes up nearly 40% of US GDP. And the European central banks is about 79.4% of GDP. So still small European central banks are printing just as much as North America. Same with Japan. And we all know where this is going to lead. To increase in inflation. These are the producer price indexes, and they are just on fire. These things are going parabolic, and there's no way of escaping it. You know, some people talk about deflation. And in terms of our government officials, talk about insider trading. These two guys work for the Fed, and they decided to sell their stocks at the top of the S&P 500, hitting an all-time top. Could this be a sign that the taper would begin? Because these guys controlling the strings, controlling the tapering, controlling the money printing, now pull their stocks out. So we'll see. Anyway, red flag, we had a very weak stock market the last 5 days, but we'll see. Anyway, that's the Quickie. Saturday mornings, just sharing a little bit of goodness. Hope everybody's well and be safe on this 9/11 day. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the weekend Q&A. We have a lot of questions that we're going to cover for you guys. Okay? Big thank you, everybody. And a big thank you as well to the people that donate towards stickers. And you'll hear about what your money goes towards tomorrow as well. So thanks all for being here. Have a good day.